Welcome back. This is the last video for Chapter 3. We will, this is it. This is all the material you need for Chapters 1, 2, and 3. And yeah, so here we go. So where we left off in the last slide was looking at emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, as I said before, is just a measure of how emotionally stable, how mature people are. The last big topic to talk about is organizational culture. Organizational culture is, well, the way I like to describe organizational culture is that organizational culture is the accepted ways of doing things. So I like the book definition here. The shared set of beliefs, expectations, values, norms, and work routines that influence how individual groups and teams interact with one another and cooperate to achieve organizational goals. What that is saying is it's the accepted ways of doing things. Okay? So the book gives a longer definition here than it probably should, because culture is simply what is acceptable. Okay? When I first came to UAEU, they had a rule for men that men had to wear ties. So it was actually in the rule book for the university. And so because I read the rules before I came here, I packed 30 ties in my suitcase before I came here, and I came to work every day wearing a shirt and tie. And then I looked around and I realized most of the other guys are not wearing ties. And for the record, I don't like wearing ties. Ties are not fun to wear. And so even though there was a rule at that time, the rule's gone now, yay. Anyhow, even though there was a rule saying that men were supposed to wear ties, when I saw that the guys were not wearing ties, I was like, because I don't like wearing ties, okay? So the point is, culture may be different than rules. So technically the rule at UAEU back in 2008 was that men were supposed to wear ties. But most men were not wearing ties. And so I realized, oh, the culture is different than the rules. Okay. And let's face it, this is often the case. Culture is the accepted ways of doing things. What are the norms? What are the normal ways of doing things? Which often does match the rules, but sometimes it does not. Now, what's important to companies, what's important to any organization, is how do you increase the culture? How do you make it a stronger culture? And to make it a stronger culture, I'm going to give you some examples, but I'm going to come back to the first one, values of the founder. I'm going to come back to that. But I want to talk about that one last. So part of the way that you increase the commitment to culture, increase the commitment to the organization, is to socialize. Have people get to know each other. And if you know the people you work with, if you like the people you work with, you're going to work harder. Of course, that's the case. And so if you want to increase commitment, you want to increase socialization. You want to increase people getting to know each other. They will also do what are called ceremonies and rites. Forget the word rites. Think about the word ceremony. Think about, I'm going to stop the share. I just want to, because I want you to see me here. When you graduate from UAEU, you're going to have a ceremony that is similar to a ceremony given around the world. And in that ceremony, they're going to dress you in a robe and put a stupid square hat on your head. It's an ugly hat. I don't think anybody looks good wearing the hat you wear. It's called a mortarboard. Anyhow, nobody looks good in it. And my question for you is, why do we do that? Why does virtually every university around the world put people in a stupid looking hat and in the robe? Here's the answer. The answer is, we do it because we've all been in your shoes. We've all been, at one time or another, a student. And we know that there are days in which you wake up and you think to yourself, why am I doing this? Why, I don't really want to be going to school, whatever. We all know you have those days. And so we're trying to increase your commitment to getting this degree by the fact that when you have those bad days, we want you to think about, someday I'm going to put on this stupid hat and put on this black, I think here it's black as well, the black robe. I'm going to put on this robe and hat and walk across the stage and shake hands with somebody very important. And that here at UAEU, you shake hands with one of the sheikhs or sheikhas, and that you're going to have your picture taken with them, and that's your reward for graduating from the university. And so companies will use ceremonies like this. This is a university ceremony, but companies will also use ceremonies as ways to get people to be more committed to the organization. So the term ceremony, when it comes to commitment, the goal is to increase the people's commitment to the organization. Also, an important part of increasing commitment is to tell stories. And the last two, if we go back to this slide here. So you can see that I talked about socialization, the term down in the lower left-hand corner, and I talked about ceremonies and rites on the opposite side. The last two topics I want to talk about are why stories and language matter and why the values of the founder matter, okay? And for that, I'm going to stop the share. So I'm somebody who believes that the way people remember things is by telling stories. And so this is why for every concept, I try to give you a story to help make you remember it better, to help make it easier for you to remember, okay? From what I understand of the Arab culture, you are raised in a storytelling culture. And so obviously, telling stories is part of what makes you committed to your culture, part of what makes you feel committed. And that is what the book is saying is important to increase your commitment to an organization. Also, connecting here is the values of the founder. So, give me a second. It's afternoon, so I cannot have Coke anymore because I can't have any more caffeine, so I have to switch to Sprite. But Sprite is a Coke product, just want to point that out. Okay, back to values of the founder. So, one of the things I noted when I first came to this country, when I went to Abu Dhabi, and you go to Marina Mall, and you make the turn into Marina Mall, there was a giant picture of Sheikh Zayed, and it said, "Our father Zayed," and I just found that very moving, because it's clear that the people of the UAE viewed Sheikh Zayed as more than just the founder of your country, but truly our father Zayed. And I think that's pretty cool. We in America see George Washington and Ben Franklin and Alexander Hamilton. We see them as our founding fathers, but we don't have the reverence, you know, it is clear Sheikh Zayed has a level of love and respect that is truly inspirational to me as an outsider, seeing his vision in forming this country. Oh, by the way, if I haven't already made this rant, it actually kind of bothers me that I'm older than your country. So, oh, never mind. That's a separate thing. Anyhow, back to Sheikh Zayed and the values of the founder. Part of the reason why there is a website, ourfatherzayed.ae, and part of the reason that the stories are told about Sheikh Zayed is that the way the UAE remains the United Arab Emirates is by explaining the commitment that Sheikh Zayed had in forming this country. That knowing his values, knowing what was important to him, needs to be instilled in everyone who is a citizen of this country. That increases your organizational commitment. And one more thing on organizational commitment. As we're approaching now the 50th year of the UAE, I love how this country gets excited for National Day. You know, there used to be a whole lot more cars decorated and so forth for National Day, and I know they don't do it as much anymore, and probably for good reason. Some people put things on their windows that made it hard to see out the windows. So, but anyhow, I love the spirit of the UAE around National Day, as the decorations here in Al Ain have gone up, and very soon they'll be lit. It's beautiful to see, and the reason for doing these things, the reason for having the graduation ceremony, the reason for telling stories, the reason for socialization, the reason for telling the values of the founder, the reason you do all those things is that your goal is to increase the people's commitment to whatever organization it is. Okay? So we do the ceremonies, the graduation ceremony at UAEU, because we want you to be more committed to UAEU. The country celebrates National Day because the UAE wants its citizens to feel more of a connection to UAEU, to the UAE. And so these are all things that are very important. So I think, if I'm not wrong, let me double check this. There is one last slide. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So, yeah, nope, that's it. So that is, just want to make absolutely certain. Stories and language, nope, I've covered it. So I want to say to you that this is it for chapter 3, and this chapter didn't have that much material. So I hope it's all well for you, and that's it. Take care.